Yo, what is up, guys? So today we're talking about the upcoming fight that is going to happen in March of 2021 between Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic. And guess what, guys? The reason why there are three people on your screen right now and Jon Jones is at the right of your screen is because whoever wins this fight between Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic will be fighting Jon Jones for the heavyweight belt. That is absolutely insane. Jon Jones just vacated his light heavyweight strap and is now going to fight the winner of this fight. And also, if Jon Jones wins against the winner of Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic, and Israel Adesanya beats Jan Blachowicz and becomes a double champion, a middleweight and light heavyweight champion, guess what's going to happen next? Israel Adesanya will most likely face Jon Jones for the light heavyweight championship. That would be absolutely insane. Literally, Israel Adesanya being a double champ at that point, Jon Jones being a newly crowned heavyweight champion, didn't ever lose his light heavyweight champion, fighting for the light heavyweight champion. I mean, dude, these scenarios are absolutely insane. I cannot wait to see what happens. And who wins this fight? Because if Francis Ngannou wins this one, it's going to be very, very tough for Jon Jones to get that heavyweight strap. If Stipe Miocic wins this one, it's going to be a little bit easier, but not that much easier. Because Stipe Miocic is the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. This should be an amazing, amazing fight. But yeah, let's get started with the prediction. Alright, so Francis Ngannou, 15-3, has 18 pro MMA fights. The only people that he's lost to in his pro MMA career have been Stipe Miocic and Derek Lewis, and then some random guy at the beginning of his career when he really wasn't training all too much. But he started his career off with a nice win in 2013, lost that one fight to Zumana Kisei. I'm not really sure how he lost that fight, what really happened in there, but that was his first ever pro MMA loss. After that, he got 2 wins, got a first-round submission. Yeah, Francis Ngannou getting a submission back early in his career, absolutely insane. Then he got a knockout win, joined the UFC in 2015. Got a second-round knockout win over Luis Henrique, a second-round TKO due to doctor stoppage over Curtis Blades, a first-round knockout win, a first-round Kimura submission win over Anthony Hamilton, a first-round knockout win over Andrei Arlovsky. Was supposed to fight Junior Dos Santos, but instead fought Alistair Overeem and won that fight by first-round knockout. And guess what, guys? In his next fight, he fought Stipe Miocic at UFC 220. But it didn't really go his way, as he ended up losing that fight by unanimous decision. That was about 2.5 years ago, back in 2018. And after that loss to Stipe Miocic, his first loss inside the UFC, he lost his next fight as well 6 months later to Derek Lewis, also by unanimous decision, in one of the boringest fights I have ever seen. But since that loss to Stipe and Derek Lewis, he came back with a first-round knockout win against Curtis Blades for their second time, a first-round knockout win over Cain Velasquez, and then a first-round knockout win over Junior Dos Santos. And then a couple of months later, got a first-round knockout win over Jairzinho Rozenstruik. And if you look at those 4 knockout wins over Curtis Blades, Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik, if you average how much time it takes for all of those knockouts to happen, it is all of them are literally averaging under 1 minute. The win over Curtis Blades, 45 seconds into the first round. The win over Cain Velasquez, 26 seconds into the first round. The win over Junior Dos Santos, literally a minute 11 seconds into the first round. And then the win over Jairzinho Rozenstruik, literally 20 seconds into the first round. That is absolutely insane. Obviously, when he goes out there and fights Stipe Miocic for the second time, he's gonna be looking to get a knockout in the first round and make it 5 straight first-round knockouts, maybe under a minute. Who knows what's going to happen in this fight? It's going to be absolutely insane. But obviously, look at Stipe Miocic, the best heavyweight fighter of all time, 20-3. Only losses coming to Daniel Cormier, Junior Dos Santos, and Steven Struve. He started his career back in 2010 with a nice win, a second-round knockout, 4 straight wins, got inside the UFC, got a decision win over Joey Beltran, a first-round knockout win over Phil DeFries, a second-round knockout win over Shane Del Rosario, lost a second-round knockout to Stefan Struve, his first ever loss as a pro MMA fighter, got a decision win over Roy Nelson, a decision win over Gabriel Gonzaga, a first-round knockout win over Fabio Maldonado, fought Junior Dos Santos in his next fight in a main event at UFC on Fox 13, but lost that fight by unanimous decision, got a 5th-round knockout in his next fight against Mark Hunt, a first-round knockout over Andrei Arlovsky, a first-round knockout win over Fabricio Werdum for the heavyweight championship, and then he ended up defending that belt one more time against Alistair Overeem with a first-round TKO, defended it again against Junior Dos Santos with a first-round knockout, and then guess what? He defended it yet again against Francis Ngannou with a unanimous decision win. But in his next fight, lost the heavyweight belt to Daniel Cormier, coming up from light heavyweight by first-round knockout. 1 year later, he came back with a fourth-round knockout win over Daniel Cormier, making him the new heavyweight champion. And then he fought Daniel Cormier for a third time this year, back in August, and won that fight by unanimous decision. This is why he is known as the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time, because he has 6 title wins for the heavyweight division. That is absolutely insane. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has 6 title wins, and nobody has 4 straight title wins. That is just absolutely insane. But now he has a humongous test in front of him in Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou obviously is going to go out there and try to get a knockout. I think Francis Ngannou is probably a top 10 greatest striker of all time, because this man puts you out so fast. The only people he cannot put away are obviously Stipe Miocic and then Derek Lewis in their very boring encounter. I think this fight is going to be very interesting. That first round is where everything is going to happen. If Stipe can get past that first round, I will say Stipe Miocic will win that fight. But if the fight stays in that first round and I see Francis Ngannou being a little bit more patient and throwing his shots a little bit more technical, I would 100% say that Francis Ngannou would then get the win by first round knockout. But that's the thing, guys. If he goes out there and does what he does in the fight against Jairzinho Rozenstruik, I say no. I think Stipe Miocic then would get the win, because if he goes out there and tries to throw those humongous bombs and just try to get lucky and have one of those lands, I mean, it's going to be a bad night at the office for Francis Ngannou, because Stipe Miocic is just going to take you down after those shots. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is not Stipe Miocic. That is why Francis Ngannou went for those big shots, because he knew that Jairzinho Rozenstruik was not going to go for a takedown. There's no way Jairzinho is going to go for a takedown at that point. So if Francis Ngannou plays his fight a little bit more technical, doesn't try to go out there and do what he does against Jairzinho Rozenstruik, I will have no problem saying Francis Ngannou will get this win by first round knockout. Alright guys, so at that point, Francis Ngannou would be the new heavyweight champion, and then obviously Jon Jones would be coming up from light heavyweight to fight Francis Ngannou for that heavyweight belt. Now, do I think that Jon Jones would win the fight against Francis Ngannou? I definitely think that he can win the fight, but there is one thing that he has to do. Get past the first round. That is the secret ingredient to beating Francis Ngannou. Get past the first round. Probably going to lose the first round, but in the second, third, fourth, and fifth, dominate. I mean, if he can get past the first round, I think Jon Jones will dominate the second, third, fourth, and fifth round. But that's the thing. The first round is where it's so tough fighting a guy like Francis Ngannou, who goes out there and for the past 4 fights has got knockouts under 1 minute average. That is absolutely insane. I actually think that Francis Ngannou would win the fight against Jon Jones, because that first round is where it is all at. I think Francis Ngannou would get yet another first round knockout win, this time against Jon Jones, and retain that heavyweight belt. That is just my prediction. I have Francis Ngannou beating Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight belt, and then defending the belt against Jon Jones, ruining all the plans for Jon Jones to then fight Israel Adesanya for the light heavyweight belt. I know Dana White would probably be very mad that we're not going to see the Jon Jones-Israel Adesanya fight, but then we would have a new star in the heavyweight division in Francis Ngannou, and I think at that point, if Francis Ngannou beats Stipe and then beats Jon Jones, I think he'll be a very long reigning heavyweight champion, because we've never seen any heavyweight fighter with this much power. I cannot wait to see what happens in the fight with Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. I have Francis winning both fights against Stipe and Jon Jones. Put your predictions in the comment section below. Do you think Francis Ngannou will beat Stipe? Do you think Stipe will beat Francis? Who do you think is going to win the fight between Francis and Jon Jones? There's so many amazing scenarios that could happen with this heavyweight and light heavyweight division. I cannot wait. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm out of here.